The NFL draft is done and over, and I am going to be breaking down each and every team and grading out their draft. So check back every day, because one team I will do every single day, and I'll have it up here on YouTube for you to watch. We'll go over every prospect that they drafted, as well as some key undrafted free agents that they may bring in. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section, and I'll be sure to address them for you. Also, just be aware on my draft grades, no one fails the draft, especially right after it. Even no one in this draft is going to get a D or an F from me, because everyone had a talent. Everyone did something. So if you think the grades are a little bit high, that's just me not going to too much extremes. And maybe in 3 or 4 years, when we look back on this draft, then we can see who really succeeded and who really failed. So sit back, relax, enjoy me as I break down every single team this year. The draft expert, Shane Hallam, shows off his knowledge. Writing mock drafts, prospects from the best college. Breaking down tape, he might develop a man crush. Tearing up guys, taking questions in a rush. Comparisons, learning lessons, Shane saves the day, oy vey. Hulk or Banner, doesn't matter. Listen, cause here's who can play. Hey everyone, today we're going to be breaking down the Minnesota Vikings draft. And this is a draft that I've heard a lot of mixed opinions on. Some people thought it was good, some people thought it was pretty poor. So you're going to get my opinion right here. They traded out of the first round, and in the second they took Chris Cook, cornerback out of Virginia. A lot of people may not know Chris Cook, but this was a good pick. Chris Cook is a big, athletic player from Virginia, really busted it out in off-season workouts. There is some work ethic issues that came up during his pro day, but during the season, coming out of Virginia, he played really, really well. He's a ball hawk. He's very good in zone coverage. He does well reading and reacting. He gets very physical with wide receivers, and he's a perfect fit for the Vikings cover 2. I think this is a guy that can step in if Griffen isn't ready to go this year and can be a number 2 corner. Worst case, a nickel guy that can be very good for them. So I really like this pick for them. Their other second-round pick, they took Toby Gerhart, running back out of Stanford. Runner-up in the Heisman, closest Heisman vote ever. And some people think, well, you have Adrian Peterson. Why are you taking Toby Gerhart? Well, look, Chester Taylor's gone. He's now in Chicago. You do not have a backup to Adrian Peterson. This is a guy that hasn't been the healthiest throughout his career. He's had some fumbling issues. So they bring in Gerhart, who some people think, hey, if you have Adrian Peterson, you need a complement, you need a pass catcher. That's not the case. You want to get the 2 best backs that you can. And what Gerhart gives you is a guy that can go up the middle, can be great in the red zone. If Peterson goes down, he's someone that's going to be very, very productive in this offense. So I like this pick as well. And I know a couple people have said, you have other positions of need. Why do you do this? I think it was necessary. I think this was a huge position of need to keep that offensive cog running. Then in the 4th, they took Everson, defensive end out of USC. I like this pick as well. Everson is a high upside player, extreme athleticism, but he's kind of a basketball player playing football. He doesn't have the football skills or the senses that you want from a player. Kind of reminiscent of Kenichi Udez, who the Vikings took a while back in the 1st round. But now you get a guy like that in the 4th round, and it's well worth the risk. So I think this is a good high upside pick. You get a guy that can learn from Jared Allen, can learn from Ray Edwards, and you can cycle in there at defensive end. It was a position in need as well, and I think they addressed it. In the 5th, they got Chris Degeare out of Wake Forest, the guard tackle tweener. Probably will play guard in this system. He's just a good reserve offensive lineman. Probably not going to be a starter, but he can be a spot starter for a game or two. Doesn't have extreme athleticism, doesn't have extreme strength, but he's good at everything. And so that's what you kind of want from a backup, a guy that can fill in for a game and be solid, even though you know he's not going to be spectacular. So I like that pick for them as well. In the 5th, they got Nathan Triplett, inside linebacker, more of a thumper at inside linebacker. I'm not so sure about this pick. I don't know if he's going to make the team. They have the Henderson brothers there at inside linebacker. I do think Aaron's still going to make this team. So I wonder where Nathan Triplett's going to fill in. Maybe he can kick out to the weak side. We'll see how that works out. So I'm interested to see his fit before I make a final determination for that. But I think there were other places they could have addressed in the secondary or defensive tackle. In the 6th, then they got Joe Webb, who was a quarterback at UAB and is probably going to convert to wide receiver. Now, we've heard some talk that he may stick at QB. I just don't see him filling in that roster with Rosenfels and Jackson if Brett Favre comes back. So I do think he's going to convert to wide receiver, and he's a project. But he came into the All-Star games, played wide receiver, and looked pretty good for a player that had never played that position before. He beat some corners, some top-flight corners in this draft, and so I want to see what Joe Webb can do, and I think it is a good high-upside pick. With Bernard Berrien's not going to be around too much longer. You have Percy Harvin, who has the migraine issues. You have Sidney Rice, who came through last year. But you need someone there that can fill in that slot role down the line. You can develop as a number 4 or number 5. And I think that could be Joe Webb. So I like this pick. In the 7th, they got Mickey Shuler, tight end out of Penn State. He has some receiving ability, some blocking ability, kind of decent at everything. He's not good at anything. I think it'll be a battle for him to make this roster. We'll see what happens with that. And then in their last pick, they took Ryan D'Imperio, inside linebacker. This is a guy that I really like. I think he is a solid player, doesn't have all the measurables or the intangibles or anything like that, but he always plays up to his potential. He always comes away with a ton of tackles. He gets the statistics. He's always in on every play. So I think he's a good special teams player that they got there, a linebacker. So overall, I give the Minnesota Vikings a B. I think it was a good draft, not a great draft. I like the Chris Cook pick. I think the Toby Gerhart pick was good. I think it was necessary. Yeah, they could have maybe addressed offensive guard there, maybe gotten defensive tackle depth. That's the main thing that I didn't see here was D-tackle depth, because who knows about the Williams wall, and if that suspension does happen, what are they going to do? Who are they going to turn to? I thought they may address that in the 2nd or 3rd rounds. They went high upside with Cook and Griffen and a couple of these guys, and they went with a bunch of reserves. So this is a team that was on the verge of making a Super Bowl. I don't know if this draft is going to put them over the top for that. It's not going to improve their team that much, but they're right there. So overall, I like this draft. In terms of undrafted free agents, Ryan Perrilloux, quarterback out of Jacksonville State, used to play for LSU, very athletic, was one of the best athletes on the LSU team at QB, so you know he's good. It's going to be interesting to see if he can make this team. I don't know. He has a lot of head case issues. He was kicked off the LSU team, suspended from Jacksonville State at a point, so we'll see what happens there. I also like Terrell Skinner, safety from Maryland. Was one of my underrated players. He didn't get drafted, but he can be a special teams ace for Minnesota. And if they give him the chance to come in there and work out and do what he has to do, show his stuff, I think he's going to get a good shot here. So there's a Minnesota Vikings draft. Come back tomorrow. We do the New Orleans Saints.